Hello everybody, this is Tiffany Almeida with Pretty and Paper Crafts, and I'm back for another video to show you how to make a magical shaker card. This one is pretty special to me because it has a window going all the way through the card to the image that's inside of the card. So this is a really fun kind of, it made me think of a snow globe when I saw it. And I'm going to show you it's a little bit more tricky than the other cards, but it's definitely a fun card to make. So I'm going to show you how we do that. Now, in your kit, you have a couple supplies, and let's go over those real quick so we know what's what. You're going to have a piece of thick Whisper White cardstock, and this is your base. It's cut at 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5 1/2, so it is a top opening card. It opens from the top. You'll have a piece of Bermuda Bay cardstock. Now your cardstock should already have a circle through the center of it as well as your base. I'm going to show you how I did this so that you can make these cards in the future. And then you'll have your top piece, which we'll do the stamping on. And then you'll have a scrap of paper to make your dragon that is seen through the window there. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you how, and you'll also have a piece of this ribbon. This is the white organza ribbon. And you'll have a piece of the glimmer paper cut. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you what we're going to, how we're going to get that. But your piece already comes cut. So here we go. I'm going to bring my big shot into the screen. So we're going to cut a couple things. The first thing we're going to cut is our little banner that is actually the bottom we used as the bottom of our snow globe. So to do that, I just cut the banner out using my Magical Mates framelits. Just getting the framelit out. And I'm using a piece of the glimmer paper from the Myths and Magic suite that's in the Occasions catalog. I love this paper. It comes in 3 different colors: Lemon Lime Twist, the white, and the Bermuda Bay. So it's kind of, 2 of my favorite colors. So we've got our banner, so we'll set that aside. And then, I'm going to put this back in here. And then we're going to be using 2 sizes of circles from our layering oval or our layering circle framelits. We're going to be using our largest circle and then kind of our third largest circle, and we're actually going to cut the piece of Bermuda Bay. We're going to cut 2 pieces out of it at the same time. And this is going to create our frame and also our circle, our hole that we need in the cardstock. So I'm actually kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone with this piece and not wasting as much paper, because I can actually get the frame and the hole out of the same piece of paper so that I'm not having to waste. So I like when I'm able to do that. Now I want to cut my circle slightly down towards the bottom. I want to have space at the top for my words. So just getting that positioned on my paper, I'm going to run it through and see how I layered both of those circles. So I'm cutting them at the same time, and that's going to create my little frame. So now you all should have a piece that looks like this that's for your frame. And you have a scrap, well, you won't have a scrap, but now I have a scrap that I can use for something else. And then I have my piece that has the circle cut out. Now, I no longer need the largest circle. The largest circle can go back because I only needed it to make the larger frame. Everything else I want to be cut out of the smaller circle. So the next thing to do is I'm going to keep my Bermuda Bay here because I want to have kind of a reference point when I'm cutting out my Whisper White cardstock. So I've got my Whisper White cardstock. It's slightly smaller than my Bermuda Bay, and I wanted to actually line it up so I know where it's going to be, spaced evenly, flip it over, and cut the center out. That way there's no guessing as to how my circle is going to line up. As long as it's within the circle of my piece of Bermuda Bay, we'll be okay. So I'm going to run that through. So I've got my piece of Whisper White, and now has a circle in it. It's going to overlay my Bermuda Bay just like so, that there's that hole, which we want. And then I'm going to do the same thing on my base. My card base needs a hole as well. And I'm going to put actually going to put both of my pieces on here as a reference. So I'm going to try and line everything up the way that I would want my card to be placed or glued down, I guess. So I've got that there, and then I've got my circle still, and I'm just sliding it right into that white piece that's already been cut, because it's going to be the perfect size to go through my next piece. So here we go. Running that through. This is going to create that window all the way through the base of the card, right to the inside where my dragon is hiding. Okay, so I've got my piece cut out. I've got all 3 pieces with a hole. That's just what I wanted. Now I can put my big shot out of the way. I will need to bring my big shot back in once I'm ready to cut my dragon, but for now we can move him aside and put my framelits away. Okay, so that is how you make your layers, okay? So now everything's going to line up just right, and it's going to look really good, okay? The things that will not be provided to you are the window sheets. Now, I recommend, if at all possible, to use Stampin' Up! Window sheets because they are so sturdy. They're so thick and well made. I've tried the cheap way and gone through transparency sheets, thinking that, you know, remember those like transparency sheets that they put on like overhead projectors? I had an old box of those and I tried to use them, but they are so flimsy and thin compared to these that I went back to these. I was like, this is not going to work. And the filler I'm using for this card is my Stampin' the Dazzling Diamonds, Stampin' Glitter Dazzling Diamonds. I contemplated using gold or silver, but I really liked the Dazzling Diamonds a lot. So I thought that looked kind of like the snow globe. But you can use, there's so many things that you could use for your filler. Not just glitter, but I thought that was a fun thing to try. So I'm actually going to test a theory. You guys are actually going to be my guinea pigs on this. I'm going to try running my embossing buddy over my window sheets, because I don't know if you can see, but my glitter likes to stick to the window sheets because the glitter's so fine. And I'm wondering if I run this through, rub this over them, if they won't stick as much. Who knows? It probably won't work, but I thought it wouldn't hurt to try. Oops. And the other thing that you don't have in your kit are these foam adhesive strips. These are a must for shaker cards. You need these to kind of seal in the shaker material so that it doesn't leak out everywhere. So those are the 3 things that you'll need to have already to complete this project. All right, so let's go ahead and do some stamping. We're going to stamp the top piece of our Whisper White, and you don't want to stamp down here. You want to stamp where there's a larger place, a space. That is going to be where we're going to do our stamping. We're going to be using the sentiment from Magical Day stamp set, and it's Hope Your Day is Magical. And we're going to also be stamping our dragon, the fire, and we're also going to be stamping the little stars on either side of the sentiment. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Memento Black ink because I'm going to need it for my dragon, so I'll just use this for my sentiment as well. And I don't want my sentiment to fall off. I'm trying to get it to stick to the book. Okay, let's try this again. Center it on your piece of paper. Make sure it's up towards the top. And push it down. And there you go. And get this ink out of here before I make a tragic disaster with it. All right, and then the other ink that we need is Bermuda Bay. That is our kind of our coordinating color for this card. And we're going to do our little stars in the Bermuda Bay on either side of our magical sentiment. So we've got our stars, and I'm just going to stamp here and stamp there. That's all you need. That's it. Okay. So The next thing we want to do is we're going to continue to get all our stamping out of the way, even though we're not, we don't quite need it yet. We can set this aside, but we need to stamp our dragon because we're going to have to do some coloring with our bun, with the blends. So now that I have the red ink out, we'll go ahead and stamp our dragon. Good thing I have two sides to this paper, I tell you what. Okay. And before I put that away, I need to get my little fire. I love that this set has framelits to go along with it, so that I don't have to do any fussy cutting. It even has framelits for the fire, which is really cool. Okay, now we've gotten that done. So I'm going to go ahead and move into the coloring piece. The colors that I chose for my dragon are Daffodil Delight and the Bermuda Bay. And I've got both light and dark because I'm going to do some shading. And then I'm just going to use red for the fire. I'm not going to get too technical with the fire. As a matter of fact, I'm going to start with that. Not doing a good job of staying in the lines, but does fire ever do what it's supposed to do? Probably not. So anyways, there we go with that. Okay, and then for my dragon, I wanted to do, I wanted him to be Bermuda Bay as well, so we're going to go ahead and color him. I'm going to do the majority of him in the light Bermuda Bay and then go back over with the darker Bermuda Bay and shade it. So his body is going to be Bermuda Bay, and then I want his belly, his scales, and his spikes to be Daffodil Delight. So I like to start on the edges and trace and then fill in. Get that blended real nice. And there, you have a cute little dragon. So we're gonna bring our big shot back in. We're gonna get that dragon cut out and the fire cut out. So we'll get those two framelits now. We've got our dragon and we got our fire. Set those aside and bring our big shot in. Again, I'm using my magnetic plate because it holds the, I'm gonna pop this little piece of white out. There we go. It holds the magnetic framelits down, the metal framelits down in place so they don't shift so much. So it's really nice to use. Let's see, try and get my fire lined up here. All right, looks good. We will run that through. Move my big shot out of the way. Get my pieces. So I've got my fire, got my dragon. We can put our framelits away. Okay. So now all we have to do is assemble. Okay, now I would suggest, I'm going to be putting my window sheet down on the back of my Whisper White. So the first window sheet is going to go down there, and again I'm going to be using my embossing buddy to see if that helps it not stick. And then I'm going to be using my liquid Tombow on the outside of the circle. And I kind of want to get it close, but not too close that it squishes out. But this is going to seal the window and hold everything in. And stray hair. I cut my window sheet at 3.5 by 3.5 squared. And this was just to ensure that it's big enough for the hole. As we can see, it's plenty big, but I wanted to make sure I gave myself enough room. The next thing that we're going to do is actually glue our Bermuda Bay piece down to our piece of Whisper White. I'm going to be using Runner, and I'm going to do that now. I'm also going to be using liquid glue around the circle though, just to seal everything in. So I've got my tear and tape around that, but then I'm also going to go around my Bermuda Bay circle with Tombow to seal it, to seal the deal, because that is where the glitter is going to be. And we want that nice and stuck down so the glitter doesn't escape. So we're going to center this. With the tearing tape or with the runner, we don't have much room to wiggle. So once it's down, it's down. Okay, there we go. Now it is on. Okay, so here is where our glitter is going to live. Again, I'm going to clean it off with the embossing buddy and see if I can get as much static and stuff off the window sheet as possible. I am going to put down my adhesive sheets now on the back of this to form my circle. And the nice thing is that I can stay right inside between the Bermuda Bay and the white, the Whisper White. It's going to be my guide. I'm just going all the way around, forming my little enclosure that I don't want the glitter to escape from. The recipient of this card would not be very happy with me if all the glitter escaped. Okay, so I've got that, and then we need to put the window sheet on the inside of our base. So we're going to again use our Tombow glue and create a border around to make sure that it stays sealed inside. And we gave ourselves plenty of room. My window sheet didn't need to be this big, but I wanted to make sure it was big enough. Okay, so I'm just pushing that down, holding it down so it has a chance to glue down. Now I also want to put some foam adhesive strips around the top and bottom of my Bermuda Bay to kind of help support the outer sides of the card. So I'm just going to put some of the strip here and cut, and some of the strip here and cut. And I might even try putting one maybe right here and one down here, just for some added support. Okay, I'm gonna clean this area off again in hopes that the glitter sticks or doesn't stick, I guess I should say. It shouldn't stick. I'm gonna put the lid back on my Tombow so it doesn't dry out. Okay, now because this is glitter, we have to be really careful and keep it within that circle. I still want to put it on my base and then close it around with that, but I'm going to try my best to keep it in the center. And I think that should be plenty. I think that's a lot. Okay, so you'll put as much as you want or as little as you want. And now we've got to peel the backing off of all of our adhesive foam strips. So that's what I'm doing here. Just getting the backing off of all of it. And we'll put on the finishing touches of everything else once we've got our base kind of established here. So now it's a matter of lining it up with the circle inside. And just making sure that it's all lining up. And once you've got it down, make sure you seal that circle so none of the flakes come out. And now you've got your snow globe. So now you've got your glitter in the center, and it will open and you can see all the way through. That embossing buddy didn't seem to help. It almost looks like it made it worse. The glitter is all over that window sheet. The static is just a lot, but it kind of adds to the effect because once we put our dragon in the center, you'll be able to see him through the window. like so, kind of. Okay, so we are going to, oh, there it is. So we're going to finish our snow globe on the outside here. So we have our frame. It goes right over our white circle just perfectly. And then we have our little snow globe stand, and that's going to go right over the top. So we just need to get some glue and glue those down. My little experiment with the embossing buddy didn't work. That bums me out. But now you know. Now you know what doesn't work. So I've got my little globe glued down, my little border, and I need to put my little glittery banner stand, globe stand on top. And you do go over the circle slightly, like so, and just glue that down. I just want it to be as straight as I possibly can make it. I have a piece of my organza ribbon. You all will have that in your kits. And you'll just tie yourself a bow, maybe. Like so. Get the length of your bow the way you want it. I'm going to trim my edges. And I'm going to use a glue dot to glue my bow down. Glue dots work really well for bows. Oops, I'm trying to open the bottom. I just stick my bow right directly on here, peel it off, and stick it down, like so. And that's it for the front of your card. The rest of it just gets glued down into the center inside. So you'll just figure out where you want your dragon at. I kind of want him over to the side so that I can see his fire. So that is going to be where I want him. Okay, I'm going to get my glue and just lift up on him and put glue underneath and glue him down. Didn't want him to move too much, so this is kind of my workaround to make sure he's in the right spot. Okay, then I need to do his fire, so I'm putting glue on his little fire that's going to come out of his mouth. So we're going to stick that back behind his mouth, like so. Okay, and there we go. Now you have your dragon. It can be seen through your snow globe if you glitter. And there you go. Isn't that fun? Isn't that cool? Look, my first one didn't stick as much, so almost like the embossing buddy made it stick more. Don't do what I did. But anyways, that is a super fun and magical shaker card. A really cool effect that, you know, it's a shaker card, but it goes all the way through to the other side of the card and reveals your magical dragon on the other side. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you learned a lot, and I'll see you for the next one.